My name is Shartavia Stevens, and today I'm going to be speaking with you about emergency management in Australia. Emergency management in Australia is organized very similar to that which exists in the United States. First, an emergency is attempted to be managed on a local level, and once those resources are exhausted, then the state and territorial resources are used, and once those resources have been overextended, or it is apparent the situation requires more resources than is available, the next step is to petition the Commonwealth. These requests are made to the Director General of Emergency Management Australia, and once this request is approved, ministerial approval from the Attorney General to use Commonwealth resources is needed. This is just a visual representation of the bottom-up implementation pattern that is desired in Australian emergency management. The Australian climate is especially susceptible to bushfires, floods, cyclones, and earthquakes. The Australian climate is no stranger to extreme weather conditions. In 1974, Cyclone Tracy struck the city of Darwin on Christmas Day, killing 65 people and causing 3/4 of the total population to flee. Ash Wednesday occurred in 1983. Was a brush fire that killed 76 people, and Black Saturday was a brush fire that occurred on February the 7th in 2009. And this killed 173 people and injured 414, and there were reportedly about 400 fires recorded on this day. The Newcastle earthquake of December 28th, 1989 had a death toll of 13 lives total, while 160 were hospitalized. During response and recovery, the Australian Red Cross, through the National Registration and Inquiry System, helps reconnect families that have been separated. In some states, the Red Cross tends to immediate food and shelter needs as well as assisting with large-scale evacuations. The Bureau of Meteorology tracks and monitors weather patterns and are responsible for detecting severe weather conditions whenever it's possible. The CFA is a volunteer fire organization entrenched in all phases of the emergency relief process in the Victorian community. The Brethren Disaster Ministries maintain an emergency fund which they use to respond to natural and human-caused disasters across the world. Children Disaster Services operates under the Church of the Brethren. Volunteers are specially trained to interact with traumatized children and are a reassuring presence in the midst of disaster. Funding, communication, uncertainty, and inefficiency all pose a serious threat to emergency management. There may be certain programs in place that may or may not have been effective in the past that are no longer in existence due to a loss of funds. Communication on all levels of government throughout the emergency event is paramount to ensure successful handling of the event. Oftentimes, in an emergency situation, means of communication are limited, which may lead to confusion. Problems may also arise whenever one party does not effectively communicate their needs during an emergency, which can lead to supplies and other resources not being readily available. This also has a lot to do with each person knowing what their role in the emergency event is and effectively carrying out their duties. Uncertainty in a leadership position will only lead to uncertainty on the individual level. An official that isn't sure what they're supposed to do tend to do the wrong things, which can lead to general inefficiency throughout the process. In closing, previous disaster events have led to a greater emphasis on mitigation activities, intensive research initiatives, policy reforms, and increased awareness of the Australian population. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you've enjoyed my presentation.